The history of Mega Man 2 world records.
Contains flashing lights that may affect viewers with photosensitive epilepsy.
Oh shit.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Right. Minx, you still watching my stream?
Mega Man 2's world record speedrun is one of the most prestigious on the NES. For nearly 2 decades, it's had a lively competitive scene, with world record holders polishing their skills to see who can beat it the quickest. It requires precision and finger speed that would even make Mike Tyson proud. Because to speedrun Mega Man 2 at the top level, you must break it. After all, walls are just suggestions, and ceilings are figments of our imagination.
Of course.
This is the story of how speedrunners broke Mega Man 2. This is the history of Mega Man 2 world records. And now a word from this video's sponsor, NordVPN.
What the hell? Ha, no
For
way.
years, Potato Sock 500 was the fastest internet surfer in the world. He was the undisputed record holder, and nothing could slow him down. But that all changed one day in September 2022. His arch rival, SuperDoodle25, hacked his data and stole his IP address. And just like that, Potato Sock's record reign came to an end.
Damn it.
He should have been using NordVPN. By going to nordvpn.com/summoningsalt and getting a huge discount off a 2-year plan plus 4 free months, Potato Sock could have encrypted his internet usage and hidden his IP address from SuperDoodle.
Right, of course.
He could have been surfing the internet with a protected connection and guarded his coveted world record.
Why can't Twitch have ads like this? I wouldn't mind at all watching 3 minutes of ads like this.
To avoid a costly mistake like Potato Sock made, get the best NordVPN deal on the internet. Thanks again to NordVPN, my channel's first sponsor. Please go check out nordvpn.com/summoningsalt. Your support really goes a long way. So, where do we begin? The early history of Mega Man 2's world record is an enigma to uncover. In the mid-2000s, people completed runs both with and without video proof on different versions of the game and with different rule sets. At certain points in time, what would be considered the true world record was ambiguous, and to this day, putting together an accurate timeline is quite difficult. Yet, through all that, there's one run that's pretty unanimously considered to be the first world record. The year was 2004. The runner was Richard Ureta, and his final time was 30 minutes and 39 seconds. In Mega Man 2, you're presented with 8 stages
Wait, that looks terrible.
in any order.
Mega Man!
Ureta decided to start with...
Okay, before we start, chat, you gotta listen to the Mega Man song. Mega Man 2 has the best song ever when you start playing the game. What is it? Is it this? Yeah. Hold on. Wait for it. Alright, now you get it.
Airman, where he precisely jumped on the
I remember
lips
this
of
boss.
blocks to avoid slowing down.
Oh, that's sick.
You only have about a 4-pixel window to do so,
That's impressive.
and risk dying from a missed jump. He then had to slowly ride on the clouds to make it further in the stage, and on the boss fight, used the Mega Buster to take down Airman. Yoretta then played Quickman stage, where he repeatedly rode item 2 to quickly skip through long corridors.
I think I did that.
Quickman himself has a random pattern, but Yoretta once again took him down nicely with the Mega Buster. Next up was Flashman, where Airman's weapon was used on larger enemies, and item 2 helped him skip over the last room. On Metal Man stage, Yoretta froze time with Flashman's weapon so he could run through without the spikes falling on him. He also jumped forward on the conveyors moving against him, so he wouldn't be pushed back. Item 2 was utilized once again, although he had to carefully maneuver around spawning enemies. And on the boss fight, he used quick boomerangs, which is Metal Man's weakness. With 4 Robot Masters down, and Metal Man's overpowered weapon acquired, Yoretta went into Bubble Man stage. The shrimp and fish are quite weak to metal blades, so Yoretta was able to jump up and shoot them down to quickly clear a path ahead. It was similar to how a casual player would get through the stage, but the key difference is that Yoretta never stopped running. He precisely maneuvered and barely let go of right on the D-pad.
Get you, Chad.
On Heatman stage, Yoretta once again jumped from column to column without slowing down.
By the way, I beat this game in college and it was really hard.
He used item 2 to cross the lava gap later on, and used Bubble Lead on Heatman. Heat has random delays between his shots, but since it only takes 3 bubbles to kill him, they hardly mattered at all here. More on those delays later. Next up was Crashman,
Is that better,
whose
Chad?
stage is filled with ladders that you normally have to slowly climb. However, if you place down an item 3 while you're climbing up the ladder, you can then jump off of it and save a bit of time. Yoretta also used item 1 to his advantage by letting him bypass ladder sections altogether, and avoid having to ride on the slow conveyors. And finally, there was Woodman. Yoretta's most notable strategy here was using Flashman's Time Stopper to prevent the dogs from spawning. After a charged heat shot to Woodman, he had completed the 8 robot stages. But now, the game's difficulty takes a big step up. It's time for the Wily stages.
Is this the one where it's the orange big guy, chat?
Wily 1 is similar to Crashman
I remember
stage,
this.
in that
I remember
there are
this.
several ladders you have to climb up. Yoretta used both item 1 and item 3 to help, then mashed Quick Boomerang at the dragon boss for a quick kill. In
I
Wily
remember.
2, Yoretta shot the Leaf Shield to protect against projectiles in the long corridor. They randomly drop health and ammo, which are bad luck in a speedrun since it slows you down to pick them up. Wily 3 is the easiest Wily stage, with the only tough part being at the end, when you have to jump up and mash boomerangs as fast as possible. The final 3 Wily stages are perhaps the most important in the entire run. Wily 4 features an enormous sequence of ladders at the start. With several careful item 3 placements, Yoretta was able to quickly traverse his way to the top while barely slowing down. Then, you have 4 spike screens to get through. Normally, you're supposed to ride around on the conveyor and dodge enemies. But Richard Yoretta had other ideas. In the first room, he took damage and used iframes to barely make it across the spikes.
Oh, that's smart.
In the third room, he used item 2 to quickly get iframes again. And in the fourth room, he used item 1 to just barely reach the conveyor early and make it to the exit. In Wily 5, you refight the 8 robots.
I remember this.
Yoretta used each boss's weakness against them, meaning most fights were completed in a matter of seconds. For the stage boss, he used metal blades to tear through the first phase, and then a crash bomb he had saved from the Wily 4 boss. And finally, there was Wily 6. For the stage itself, you just walk to the end without slowing down. But the alien boss is another story. You have to hit him with 14 bubbles, and if you make contact with him, known as hugging the alien, he tanks your health. Uretta's strategy was to get hit by a projectile, then use the iframes to briefly mash Bubble Lead as fast as he could. He avoided hugging the alien and closed out the run at 30:39.
Damn, that was cool.
And with that, Mega Man 2 had its first world record. It was a solid run with few big mistakes, but at the end of the day, was it that far removed from a pristine casual playthrough? Uretta was obviously much more skilled than a casual player, and tricks like damage boosting in Wily 4 did help, but running through the stages and obliterating the bosses with their weaknesses isn't necessarily that difficult to do. For the next couple of years, there would be little activity. But then, the timeline starts to get tricky. See, Mega Man 2 lets you play on either normal or difficult mode.
Mega Man!
Difficult mode means enemies take more shots to kill.
Let me ask you guys a question, chat. Have you guys ever played Mega Man? No. Is it because you're too old? Or, sorry, too young? I played this in college. I always wanted to play this when I was a kid, but it's such a difficult game. Like, Summoning Soul is just not letting you know how hard this game truly is. It is a very difficult game. Mega Man 2, this is not easy. Some levels and courses suck. This game's really fucking tough, dude. I did not beat it in 30 minutes. I beat it in like 20 days.
Particularly the bosses.
Yo,
Uretta's
for the
run
5
was
gifted
on
bro, I
normal
appreciate
mode,
that.
since it's faster than difficult mode. But in late 2006, a vibrant speedrunning community for the game would form in Japan. There, the game is known as Rockman 2, and it has one distinct difference. It defaults to difficult mode, with no option to change it. You'd think that would mean it's slower than Mega Man 2, but text cutscenes take significantly less time in Rockman 2. So much less time that it ends up being a wash with the time lost from playing on difficult mode. So, Rockman 2 and Mega Man 2 runs are comparable in time, but Rockman 2 is considered the more challenging speedrun. And after a series of improvements through 2007, despite playing on a more difficult version of the game, a runner from Japan named Lambda would beat Uretta's run by over a minute. Lambda saved time in just about every stage, despite bosses taking much longer. A lot of it came from just being a bit cleaner everywhere.
Oh shit.
Fewer small mistakes and tighter execution. This added up big time over the course of the run. In Wily 4, you can see how more item 3 placements and faster movement saved Lambda significant time.
I feel like Rich is gonna come back though.
This run felt like less of an expert's casual playthrough and more like a polished speedrun, boosted by the fact that he played on a more difficult version of the game. In 2008, a runner named Hoshi would set another string of Rockman 2 records, ultimately taking it down to 29:15. He saved about 3 seconds in Bubble from fewer knockbacks, and about 4 in Clash from better item 3 placement on the ladders. Together, Lambda and Hoshi had taken Rockman 2 to the next level. This was just 2008, yet their speedruns were optimized to levels most games wouldn't see for years. But there's one thing to note about these runs. They were played according to PureCast rules, Japan's leading speedrun hub at the time. And one rule from PureCast stated that auto-fire was allowed, meaning you could hold down the button and fire your weapon up to 30 times per second. This made some sections of the game easier, like killing enemies without slowing down, and it made some sections impossibly fast, like the alien fight in Wily 6, which normally takes 28 shots to kill in Rockman 2. But still, their runs certainly shouldn't be dismissed. It's estimated that autofire only saved them about 20 seconds. The rest of the difference came from better strategies and execution. So while it's a little tricky to say how Lambda and Hoshi's runs fit into the timeline, it's safe to say that they were by far the best executed Rockman 2 speedruns of their era. Now, about 2 weeks after Hoshi's 29:15, the run would once again be lowered by 10 seconds.
Why does Summoning still have
a
the best music, man?
29:05 on the North American version of the game. by a runner named Seth Glass. But there's something a bit different about this run. See, prior speedruns of the game were submitted to Twin Galaxies and Purecast, websites which prohibited the use of glitches. Seth Glass was submitting to Speed Demos Archive, so he was free to use whatever glitches he wanted. And boy, did he ever use them. These are Mega Man 2's zips. Item 1 rises toward the top of the screen, and allows you to ride it until your head hits a ceiling.
Right.
However, it doesn't actually check for a collision. Instead, Item 1 detects if it's below a ceiling, and then disappears once it's a certain distance away. So, if you place Item 1 or Item 3 away from a ceiling, but stand on the edge so Mega Man is below one, you'll get pushed into it since Item 1 never despawns. And how does the game respond to Mega Man being in the ceiling? Well, if he faces to the left, it ejects him to the right. Ceiling glitches had been known in Mega Man 2 for many years, but a tool-assisted speedrunner named Final Fighter was the first to really explore them for their time-saving potential. He discovered several zips all across the run back in 2004, many of which Seth Glass would use in this run 4 years later. Glass's new route through the game, which he borrowed from the TAS, was to start with Flashman, so he could obtain Item 3. Then, in Heatman stage, he'd perform the first zip. By placing an Item 3 while touching the bottom of the ladder, then re-grabbing the ladder, you can jump back on it while facing right and enter the ceiling.
Oh shit!
You need to face left to trigger the zip, but moving left causes Mega Man to fall out of the wall. So, Glass did what's called an A-trigger. By jumping while stuck in the ceiling, Mega Man quickly lands and cannot move for the next 4 frames. So, if you press left in that 4-frame window, Mega Man zips all the way to the right out of the wall. Seth Glass had a 15th of a second to time it, but was able to skip an enormous chunk of Heatman stage. He then played through Airman and Crashman without any zips, although he used a beautiful new strategy in Airman stage called Fast Air. By precisely placing and jumping off of Item 1, then jumping on the very edge of clouds to avoid taking damage, Glass was able to make it across the gap without having to ride on the slow-moving clouds.
That's cool.
He then entered Quickman stage, where he'd place 2 Item 1s down so he could jump up and enter the ceiling. To initiate the zip, Glass this time did a B trigger. By placing an Item 1 in the wall, Mega Man then has 16 frames where he can't move. Press left during that window, and the zip will begin. B triggers have a window that's 4 times as big as A triggers, but they can't be performed if you're out of Item 1 ammo, or if there's already 3 of them on the screen.
That's kinda cool.
Triggering these zips isn't free, but it can lead to minutes of time save if utilized across the run. So, that's exactly what Seth Glass did. Glass would go on to perform zips in Metal Man, Bubble Man, Wily 2,
Chat, I'm getting food. Do you want something?
and Wily 6. In the cases of Quickman and Wily 6, he had to make sure he didn't soft lock the game. If your zip leads you into a screen transition, you have to stop the zip by pressing left or right.
I see what you guys want, chat.
get
I'll get you guys game fuels. I got you.
there. If you're too late, you soft lock the game, but if you're too early, you have to wiggle. By repressing left, your zip begins again, and you can continue to adjust or wiggle until you perfectly land on the screen transition. Runners on Speed Demos Archive were thrilled to see a run of the game with zips, but truth be told, there were still moments where it could have been better optimized. Over the next year, multiple faster times would be set, but the timeline of the official world record is problematic. In early 2009, Hoshi would get a couple runs in the high 28 range, but without autofire, they wouldn't have been faster than Glass's run. In April, A runner named Mega Destructor 9 set a time of 28:42, but the video has since been removed from YouTube. But as the months passed, the timeline became a bit clearer, and over the next couple of years, the record would see rapid improvement as players implemented more and more zips. In December 2009, a runner named NOU1 got a 28:38 on Rockman 2 without using autofire. It stood for a few months until Seth Glass came back and set a series of records on normal mode, ultimately getting a run that clocked in at 27:51. This was a legendary record. It was posted to Speed Demo's archive and quickly
Chat, you want Domino's? What do you want? I'm getting you food. What do you want? Hey, Miz, I saw you on Aiden stream. What are you wearing? Is it your blanket supposed to be like that? Yeah, my friend Fort Connor got it for me. He, very sweet guy. Aiden probably would love him. At least his cousin would. What do you guys want, chat? Domino's, fucking, cheesy bread? Bro, that shit's expensive. You want fucking Wendy's? What do you guys eat? If you guys can order food, what would you eat? Poop.
became one of the most popular runs on the site. His 27:51 would go on to inspire a new generation of Mega Man 2 runners, and stands to this day as a benchmark for high-level runners to compare against. But it would only remain as the world's fastest run for about 10 months, when a runner named Furemo beat it on Rockman 2 with a 27:48. Furemo used auto-fire, but only at 10 shots per second. This is well within the rate at which humans can button mash, so it's not thought to have given him any significant advantage. In fact, he actually played at a disadvantage. Furemo played on Wii Virtual Console, which has a slower frame rate than original hardware and loses about 9 seconds over the course of the run.
Holy shit.
But Furemo would only be on top for about a month and a half, because in March of 2011, all of the new zips and all of the new tricks that had been slowly implemented in the preceding runs came together in a legendary performance by NOU1. This was by far the best run of Rockman 2 ever completed. NOU1 would achieve a time of 27:21, a world record that would stand for years.
Yo!
The first 3 stages of this run, Flash, Heat, and Air, were all similar to previous records. However, the new antics began in Clashman stage.
You guys want to know something crazy about the whole Slicker thing? I forgot to tell you guys this. So you guys know my old Twitter account that you guys found? Remember that old Twitter account you all found? So I had an old Twitter account that my Twitch chat found, and this is from 11 years ago, right? And I forgot to tell you guys that the guy, so here's what happened. I had a Twitter account, and this guy who was a viewer hacked the account and gave me the password because I forgot the password, and pretty much I got the account back, right? This guy actually went on my account again, found out my password again, and started messaging me and said, yo, I don't have any way to contact you, so I'm just going to be on your Twitter account. Slicker's asking me for money. Yep. And he sent me a bunch of proof and shit about how Slicker showed him money. I mean, DMs and shit. I'm literally talking to my old self. Literally talking to my old self. It's crazy. He asked my alt account from 12 years ago. That's what he asked.
Where NOU1 performed a zip that looked like this.
Oh shit, that was cool.
It looks complicated, but behind the scenes it's a bit more straightforward. See, you don't actually need to climb up this ladder to get to the next screen. If you do a horizontal zip, the game will take him there just the same. When you move into the ceiling, you activate a horizontal zip that moves Mega Man forward several screens. When you move to the next screen, the game briefly shows the screen Mega Man is actually on before snapping back to the normal view. This comparison by Biscuit shows what's actually happening. You then simply walk to the right to get through the next few screens, while the game shows you as walking through the ground. Finally, you fall down where there's a ladder, and since it's done when the screen isn't horizontally aligned, it has the same effect as dying by falling in a pit. The game then respawns you much further in the stage, and by releasing an atomic fire shot when you die, the game runs the routine faster. The Clashman Zip was first seen in NOU1's 2838, and was executed to perfection in this 2721.
Yeah, that was a lot of information.
Also first seen in the 2838 was a second zip on Quickman stage. After falling at the start, you can place 3 item 1s down, do an A trigger in the ceiling, and zip past a long corridor. Unfortunately, the lights turn off, since the light switch responsible for turning them back on never spawns. And that means you have to do the quick laser section of the stage in the dark.
That's cool.
You have to memorize exactly where the ledges are, and exactly when to jump off. It's doable with a lot of practice, but it's one of the most impressive looking parts of the run. It also means you have to do both the later zip and the boss fight in the dark as well. Once again, NOU1 executed this stage beautifully. Next up was Woodman, a stage that was overhauled starting in Seth Glass's 2751.
Yo, Chad, it's Hair Bear Stairs' birthday. Happy birthday, man.
And continuing in Foremo's 2748. First, there was the dog scrolls. By going into the ceiling when the dogs spawn, you can do a B trigger and zip to the end of the screen. This needs to be repeated on each of the next screens, and you must be careful to not overzip, but it allows you to skip past the dogs quickly. Just a screen later, you perform a trick called Good Wood. It looks like a complete mess, but in reality, it works just like the Clashman zip in that the screen gets offset with where Mega Man actually is. Visuals from Duckfist show what's really going on. You perform multiple zips, and navigate through the stage while being careful not to fall off. Some of these moves take a large amount of precision, like grabbing an invisible ladder in midair. There's too much going on to concisely explain here, but eventually, you're able to zip and fall to your death late enough in the stage that you respawn at the boss corridor.
What the fuck?
With so many moving parts, it's an incredibly difficult trick, but it lets you skip over much of the stage. And once again, NOU1 nailed it. And finally, there were the vertical wraps. By getting partially stuck in the wall at the top of the screen, the next screen triggers, but Mega Man stays at the top. This can save you from having to play through a slow screen. It's used at times in the Woodman zip, but is also used in both Wily 1 and the first half of Wily 4. All these tricks, combined with nearly impeccable execution elsewhere, meant NOU1 was able to finish at 2721.
God, that is a lot.
This was a monster world record. Japan had had a vibrant Rockman 2 community for years, and after thousands of attempts from numerous different runners, this run seemed to be the final product. Runners from the Western speedrunning community looked on with awe. Nobody there was close to beating it either. For the next 2 years, this 2721 was unparalleled at the top. Around the time that NOU1's record was set, a new runner began playing the game. He'd do attempts off and on for the next couple years, improving his skills but still remaining far from the world record. But in August 2013, after returning from a break, he decided to attempt what no runner had done in the past 2.5 years. Make a push for the world record. His name was Cypher.
Oh.
Cypher's idea was to implement several high-risk, high-reward strategies from the tasks that could save him time. This was a risky move.
Dude, also a risky move to be sitting like that. That dude's going to have neck problems for the rest of his life.
Although these tricks had the potential to be faster, Cypher knew he would lose a lot of runs going for them. The biggest one was the task clash zip. By going for the zip on the first screen instead of the second, you could save up to 10 seconds, a huge amount of time in an optimized run. But it is tough. You have to very precisely place 2 item 1s in the right spot, and zip multiple times in the span of a few seconds. There's practically no margin for error, but even with a low level of consistency, Cypher felt the time save was worth it. Other new tricks included a short zip in Metal Man, and a zip with item 2 in Bubble Man. Combined, these could save up to about 4 seconds. And in Wily 4, he went for a trick called the Extended Ceiling Zip, where you wait out Mega Man's stuck state from item 3 and press down on the next screen to clip high into the ceiling and zip further than normal. A trick found by a runner named Ello. These were really difficult strategies, but Cypher was committed to going for them. His consistency wasn't amazing, and he struggled to get a clean run. By October 2013, he was still nearly a minute off the world record. He would need to shave off more than 55 seconds to beat NOU1. It would take a miracle to get all that in one run. Right?
Yes! Oh. Yes.
Cypher had just cut a full minute off his personal best. It had taken months of grinding, but he was the new Rockman 2 record holder. This run wasn't without its mistakes, however. Some of his zip setups were slow, particularly in Metal Man and Woodman. And in Wily 1, he had missed a vertical wrap altogether. But the time save from Task Clash made up for all that, and it was still a record by multiple seconds. Now, NOU1's record had stood for more than 2.5 years. How long would Cypher's record be on top?
2 days.
Well, how about 6 weeks?
Oh.
Meet Shoka.
Bro, Shoka got a fucking beat though.
In December 2013, a runner named Shoka would take 9 seconds off the world record.
Oh shit.
It was once again performed on Rockman 2. By this point, virtually all top-level competition was on Rockman 2 rather than Mega Man 2, a trend that has continued to this day. Shoka went for the incredibly difficult Task Clash, but skipped some of the smaller time saves, like the bottom Metal Man zip. It was overall a very consistent, balanced speedrun, with fewer obvious mistakes than Cypher's run. Shoka once again used 10Hz auto-fire as permitted in Japanese communities at the time, but just as before, it's not thought to have given him any significant advantage. The record was starting to get close to a big barrier, a sub 27. To get there, someone would have to save 9 seconds over Shoka's run.
Oh fuck, it's
Was
the
that
eye guy.
possible? Well, there were a few seconds to save from a cleaner Clash zip, and a few in Metal from the extra zip and a cleaner stage. But the largest time save potential came from the boss fights. Specifically, we're gonna look at Heat Man, the biggest potential RNG swing in the game. After every shot you hit him with, Heat Man can do one of 3 random delays: 31 frames, 62 frames, or 93 frames. They're commonly rounded to 30, 60, and 90 frames. Each delay has a roughly equal chance to occur. In speedruns, players buffer jumps so they don't have to react to the delay. 1 jump means a 30 delay, 2 means a 60, and 3 means a 90. In Rockman 2, Heatman takes 14 Mega Buster shots to kill, meaning there are 13 rolls of the dice for what delay you'll get. An average pattern has the same number of 30 delays as 90 delays, something like 4 30s, 5 60s, and 4 90s. Shoka's 2708 got great RNG, 7 30s, 3 60s, and 3 90s. That leads to an obvious question. What's the best fight anyone's ever gotten? That honor goes to a guy named the Big Boy, who got this unbelievable fight.
I want to play some Mega Man 1. Can I just... Are you kidding me?
Oh shit!
12 out of 13 delays were 30s. Odds of 1 in 50,000. In
Damn.
theory, you could get 13 out of 13, but it may never happen. The odds of it are nearly 1 in 1.6 million. The potential for better RNG,
relax.
combined with some mistakes Shoka made, meant Cypher had a few seconds to save here. Added together with time saves elsewhere, and that left enough room for a sub 27. But the road for Cypher would be long. His personal best was still 27:17, meaning he was 18 seconds away. Surely, he wouldn't be able to get there all in one go again. Right?
I love this music. I love this music.
On July 9th, 2014, Cypher entered the last stage on a remarkable run, putting him on pace for a 27:01. But there was a little bit of time to save on Wily 6. If he got a fast setup into the ceiling and didn't have to wiggle to enter the door, he would save time over his split. The question was, would it be enough for sub 27?
God, that made me just check my back so quick.
The run would be retimed to 27:01, leaving
Oh,
Cypher
shit.
just 2 seconds from his goal.
No.
As you can tell, Cypher had mixed reactions to this. On the one hand, he'd gotten a world record by 7 seconds. But on the other hand, he had just missed his goal time. Where had it gone wrong? Well, he got a mediocre pattern on Heatman, so he didn't gain any time there. He also lost a bit of time in Wily 2 from some unlucky drops. But his biggest mistake was in Wily 4, where he missed a vertical wrap to lose 5 seconds. That mistake alone cost him a 26:56. One tiny imprecision was the difference between another 27-minute run and the world's first 26. So, Cypher knew he had to keep going. It had taken just 3 weeks of attempts to get to 27:01. He was prepared to continue. A run with just one fewer mistake, with just a bit better luck, could be enough to get to 26. Any attempt could be the one. But it wasn't happening. Weeks passed with no new record. Then months passed. Cypher's personal best remained at 27:01. And then, in February 2015, Cypher announced his retirement from speedrunning. He felt that it was taking up too much time, and wanted to focus his attention elsewhere. Cypher's legacy would remain, however. Over the years, Cypher entertained thousands with his runs, and together with Shoka, took the record down right to the limits of the 27-minute mark. But he didn't quite achieve his goal. The Cypher era of Rockman 2 had come to an end, without his sub 27.
No.
A trick found by a runner named Ello.
Okay. What the fuck? What the
Oh, fuck me, dude. Fuck me. Fuck. Hiding chat, sorry.
This was quite a situation Elo found himself in. On pace for a 26:55 with one stage to go. Who was this guy?
Who is this guy?
Elo had started running the game in 2013 and started a steady march of improvements. He stayed well behind Shoka and Cypher's records, but throughout 2014 the gap got smaller. Finally, by November, he was within striking distance. His skill level was on par with Cypher's, and he started doing sub-27 attempts. This had been a great run through Wily 3, cleaning up the mistakes that Cypher had made.
Chat, quick pee break.
You, games, fun,
Oh, I love this
slots,
commercial.
money, slots, wins, gamble, money, gamble, jackpot, penthouse suite, expensive cars, you with a girl, winning money, wins, gamble, fun, slots, 40-hour streams, you in a McLaren, fucking buck, gamble, more, you fucking pussy, more wins, more money, more slots, charity, gamble, please gamble responsibly.
Chat, did you have fun? I made $1 million off that ad right there. That does sound like a Michael Reeves video, doesn't it? All right, let's keep going. He's going for 27-minute record.
But the amazing part started in Wily 4. Elo hit everything, including his own extended ceiling zip, leading to a gold split. And thanks to beautiful luck and execution in Wily 5, he got his second gold split in a row. The fastest he had ever completed two of the most important stages in the run. It led to him being 6 seconds ahead of the record into Wily 6. But there's one other aspect of Elo's game we haven't talked about yet. Elo is an incredible button masher. He can mash at 16 presses per second. 10 Hz autofire would be a huge disadvantage to him.
Chat, what can Ludwig do?
This comes into play in a few spots, like the Dragon in Wily 1, but nowhere is it more important than on the Alien in Wily 6. The Alien starts on the right, then moves in a figure-8 pattern around the screen. Your goal is to hit him 28 times by the time he leaves the right side for the second time. If not, you lose a few seconds. Even for top runners, this can sometimes be difficult, since you can only hit him when he's low enough and you have to worry about hugging the alien. But Elo was better at this than anyone, and after entering the door in Wily 6, he was just an alien fight away from the world's first sub-27.
He fucking did it.
For the first time ever, Rockman 2 had been beaten in under 27 minutes. As celebration poured in across the community, Elo seemed to be in a state of shock. He'd snap out of it quickly though, and spent the next several months working on other speedrunning projects. All the while, his 26:57 remained the only run under the 27-minute barrier. He had no challengers for his record, and it remained on top well into 2015. But was it a perfect run? Of course not. There were a couple zips where he stopped short and had to do a lot of wiggling. And on Quickman, he got a bad pattern and had to waste several seconds waiting for an extra clash bomb to explode. Part of the problem with the run was Task Clash, the hardest trick in the game. Elo successfully hit it in the 26:57, but a majority of his runs that made it there failed the trick and had to be reset. That meant the overall quality of his runs suffered. There was a choke point 4 stages into the run, so a lot of potentially good speedruns never saw the light of day. But Task Clash saved 10 seconds. You couldn't just skip it if you wanted record. Enter the Big Boy. Back in 2012, the Big Boy found an alternate version of Task Clash where you went to the right at the start to place item 1, instead of climbing up right away. It wasn't paid much attention to at the time, but it was actually a significantly easier method of doing the trick, since it reduced the precision of your inputs overall. It did lose a second and a half, but that would easily be worth not having to reset as often. The trick would go on to be nicknamed Biggie, in honor of its creator. So, when Elo came back to runs in August 2015, he did Biggie instead of Task Clash. For a few months, it didn't necessarily seem to be paying off. No records, and many runs dying to the last Wily stages. But on October 22nd, Elo had a fantastic heat fight. 830s, 460s, and just 190. That put him 3.5 seconds ahead of the record, so even when he lost time going for Biggie, he was still easily on pace. With a clean Quickman stage and faster vertical wraps on Wily 1, he was nearly 6 seconds ahead. But that lead would erode over a strong final 4 splits. He lost a bit in Wily 3 from bad luck, and had slow Quick and Clash fights in Wily 5. But a slight lead still remained, and after some incredible mashing on the alien, it was enough to take the record 1 second lower.
Jesus Christ, that took me a fucking year.
1 year to lower the record 1 second. That's how tough Rockman 2 runs were becoming. It took months for even the best player in the...
Wait, did George Not Found tweet at me yet? Oh, God. Yo. Stay away from my goggy. What does that even mean? No, go away, freak. Yo, that's a leaked picture. Chill. Mizkif, we do not need this toxic energy. Leave George alone. Look, George is not a streamer. He's a lifestyle. I need this. If it happens, I will gift 1 single individual sub to Mizkif. Wait, this person wants me to beat him? Sick. He doesn't even follow you. Fuck. Alright, yeah, you're right about that one. I'll just stick to the W community. They like me more.
The world to get a record improvement. Who could say how long the next record would take?
Oh, shit.
The very next day, Elo was a couple seconds ahead going into the refights. Wily 5's boss refights is one of the most random parts of the game. The biggest points of variance are quick, air, and heat. Quickman has random high jumps and boomerang throws that can lose you time. Airman has different projectile patterns he can shoot out. Elo's goal was to get a 2-cycle fight with the Leaf Shield, but it often wasn't possible even with good execution. And Heatman works just like he did the first time, but only has 4 spots for delays instead of 13. The execution on some of these fights is tough too, especially quick, air, and wood. So, Elo just had to do his best, and hope his RNG and execution was good enough to keep the run alive.
Oh, I got screwed hard. PB's over. You have no idea how much time that costs. And then I flew the Clash fight, it's over. I haven't even seen the major RNG, and it's already over. Oh. It's over. 90. 90. 90. If you didn't know it's over, it's over.
It wasn't over. The refights weren't great, but Elo was only a second behind overall. And with a really good zip and fast alien kill, he could save up to 2 seconds on the last split.
I saw 55, so that's actually a big one.
Elo's second record in 2 days. He was now 6 seconds ahead of Cypher, and had held the world record for a full year. But Elo still wasn't satisfied. He had aspirations for something bigger. He continued grinding the game off and on for a few months, but was unable to lower the record any further. The 26:55 was a pretty clean run. Maybe he had reached his ultimate goal. But if he was to beat it again, the key would be Wily 5. It was possible to save 5.5 seconds on that split alone. So, if he could at least keep it close through Wily 4, then he could save a few seconds in Wily 5 to put him back in front. He just needed to be within striking distance going into the refights. One day in late January 2016, Elo started up a run and would gain a second on Quickman from a better boss fight. And from there, he chipped away frames until entering the Wily stages, 1.5 seconds ahead of the record. Being ahead this deep into the run was impressive. He just had to keep it close by the time he got to Wily 5. But he didn't keep it close. He pulled further ahead, with a nearly flawless Wily 1 and 2. He was 3 seconds ahead going into Wily 3. But there was potential to lose some time on the Wily 3 boss. He takes 14 shots to kill, and you have to jump up and mash the fire button in a brief window while in the air. Ideally, you want to do this in 3 jumps, or about 5 shots per jump, but sometimes it can take 4 jumps or even longer. But as we know, Elo's really good at mashing.
One, two. Oh shit!
This was the first 2-jump kill in Rockman 2 history. 7 hits per jump. It had been theorized and done in practice, but never before had someone hit it in a speedrun. Elo just needed to be close going into Wily 5. Instead, he was 3.8 seconds ahead. And sure enough, he picked up some more time on the refights, gaining 3 seconds to put him 6.8 seconds ahead going into the last stage. This was the chance of a lifetime for Elo, if he could just close it out. This wasn't just a record, it was the demolition of a video game. After becoming the first runner to get a sub 27, Elo had now become the first and only to get a sub 2650 as well. This wasn't just the best run of Rockman 2 ever performed. It was one of the strongest world records of any game. Elo himself said that he was done.
Oh shit.
The community was in awe of what he had accomplished, and nobody would even try beating it. As 2016 continued, the game entered a period of dormancy at the top. People were still running the game, but Elo's skill level was far above the rest. Only 2 runners had a sub 27, and nobody was within 10 seconds of the record. 2017 came around. Still nothing. By this point, Elo's record had stood for over a year. There was just nobody good enough to beat it. Well, nobody who wasn't retired, at least.
Yo, no way!
Cypher retired in early 2015 with his 2701. Since then, new strategies had been developed that would allow that time to be significantly faster. If anyone in the community could beat Elo, it would be Cypher. But unfortunately, he wasn't interested in coming back. Cypher had moved on, and the community would just have to accept that. Someone else would need to be the one to beat the 2648. And then came AGDQ 2018. That year, a runner named Sinister1 was organizing a relay race of Mega Man 1 through 3 for Awesome Games Done Quick. And he really wanted Cypher to participate. He hadn't ran the game in 3 years, but he was a hugely important part to the game's history. Cypher resisted. He was done with speedrunning, and had no interest in returning. But Sinister kept pushing. And finally, after having time to consider it, Cypher agreed to play the game for the relay race.
Yeah!
He had 3 years of rust to shake off. It was hard to say how well his skills would translate after such a long time off. He learned the new strategies and built up his consistency with all the game's tricks. After weeks of diligent practice, race day finally arrived. And to give you an idea of how the event went, going into Mega Man 2, Cypher's team was in last place of the 4 teams. 28 minutes later, his team went into Mega Man 3 with the lead. Cypher had single-handedly taken his team from last to first place, and largely thanks to his performance, they would go on to win the race. Cypher's skill was still clearly all there. He hadn't lost anything in his 3 years of retirement. And when combining his abilities with the developments that had been made, who knew what his limits could be? So, roughly 40 months after his last session of world record attempts,
He went for it?
Cypher decided he was gonna make one more push for the record.
That's cool.
The road was gonna be tough. Cypher had achieved a 26:59 in preparation for the relay race, but he was still 11 seconds behind Elo.
No way he gets it.
While
That'd
that
be
was
such a
good
cool
for
story.
second place, it seemed like he still had a long way to go. But suddenly in late January 2018, Cypher would find himself on world record pace late into a run. After a fantastic 8 robot stages and a big time save on Wily 5, he was 2 seconds ahead of Elo into Wily 6. There
Yeah,
are
he looks
2
more
steps
healthy.
to the last stage.
Looks like he worked out a little bit.
First, you need to get the zip and enter the boss room. Mission perfectly accomplished. Step 2, fight the alien and get a right side kill.
Oh my god. I can't believe I threw it away at the alien.
The alien fight had gone horribly wrong. He took damage too early and got turned around multiple times while trying to mash.
Ah, shit.
It cost him the record, but he still did get
He's
a
on his
decent
way, he's on his
PB
way,
out
he's on
of
his
it.
way, he's on his way.
But that's okay. He had already gotten a record-paced run to the last stage. World record was right around the corner. Cypher continued doing attempts, now just 5 seconds away from the record. But strangely, despite being right there, he found himself unable to take the remaining time off his personal best. He was getting runs deep, but the combination of Wily 4, 5, and 6 were able to shut it down every time. Even though Cypher could get on record pace through Wily 3, closing it out through the last 3 stages is really tough. The attempts continued, but Cypher's personal best stayed put. The time he had sunk into the game was adding up, and he wasn't getting the returns he wanted. He had come out of retirement for a record grind, but while the grind was certainly real,
No
the
shot.
record was nowhere to be found. And all the while, Cypher felt like he was neglecting something. Perhaps it's best to let him explain it.
Around that time, I was trying to break into the tech industry as a software
he still
engineer.
trains
You know,
room.
I needed to find a job. So during this time, I was looking for jobs, and in my spare time, I was working on Mega Man 2. I did about a month of serious grinding, and then I had decided the Mega Man 2 grind is simply too distracting. Like, I'm not doing as much work as I would like to be doing on the job search, and I feel like I need to put down the Mega Man 2. And I decided, I just picked a weekend, and I told myself, all right, I'm gonna do attempts up until this, and if it doesn't happen, then it just doesn't happen, and I need to buckle down on the job search.
So, he had a deadline, the first weekend of February. It quickly approached, and Cypher poured in attempts to try and get the record.
I think I had a 9-hour stream and then an 11-hour stream on Saturday and Sunday. They were like, I never do attempt sessions that long. Those were marathon attempt sessions. I was probably, I mean, the play quality was probably not that great across both of those sessions, just because I was going much harder than I would have gone otherwise for a normal attempt session. But yeah, that's how it was.
And by the end of it all, no new record. Cypher's deadline had come and gone, and Elos 2648 was still on top. It was time to give up the record grind. But he decided to give himself one more chance before throwing in the towel for good.
Before we get to that, chat, I just want to let you know, if you're a streamer, or if you guys know a streamer, clip this and send it to them. If it's a streamer that you know that got that Slicker took money from them, to message Vegito, and if you show DM proof and all that stuff, he's gonna work with the shit to make sure that you guys get your money back. So I don't know where you want to clip this to. I don't know who you want to clip this to. But yeah, Vegito on Twitter, he's the guy that's in charge of all this. Message him. Like Harris is doing that. That's good. This guy got $30,000 and all that stuff. Yeah, message him and he will sort it out.
On that Monday, he decided to participate in one last speedrunning event. One that was organized by Sinister One, the same guy who initially got Cypher back into the grind with the AGDQ relay race. This event was called Chase for the Record.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Chase for the Record Rockman 2, and we have quite a show for you today.
So Chase for the Record is an online competition where you'll take typically the best 4 players in a game that is highly competitive at a moment in time and get all of them to play at the same time, to do attempts at the same time, and then you can kind of show like who's actually on a good pace and hopefully see a world record during the attempts, which is generally about a 3-hour window.
This event would feature 4 competitors. Cypher and Ella were the first 2, the former and current world record holders.
Yo,
The
he's here.
third
Yo, what up,
was
dude?
Zoda, a promising runner whose best time was in the low 27s. And the fourth was Cool Kid, but you might know him better as the Big Boy.
Oh.
He had changed his username and started running Rockman 2 seriously.
Damn, he got
and
the
had
name
driven
Cool
his
Kid?
time all the way down to 26:56, a legitimate world record contender. This was going to be Cypher's last chance. 3 hours to get it done. But the odds of him actually pulling this off weren't great.
I think Cypher was hoping for big things, but realistically, you can't expect in a 3-hour period in a game of such a high level of difficulty that you actually get the record.
And
the odds are very
pressures.
low.
Right.
They're not in your favor.
It was my last day to do runs, and it would have been a sort of historic moment where it would be the first time anyone ever set a record during an event like this.
So in the beginning of the event, typically you want to kind of introduce the game to the audience. So we have them do a no reset run, just 4-way race.
Nice mashing there from Cool Kid. He can finish it off.
Looks like 27-28.
Wow.
And then it was on into attempts.
But Cypher has moved on. He is going to be into Heatman in a moment, and Zoda right into attempts as well.
I'm not sure I've ever been as focused on anything in my life.
And Cypher going to set up this first zip here. Nicely done.
Yep, right up against the ceiling. That's what you're looking to see from any of those item 1 zip setups.
I've got 3 hours. I'm going to try my best to make it happen, and whatever happens, happens.
And he gets the 1 blade. That's probably the most favorable pattern.
Pretty quickly, I got a run deep in the game, and I got a run to Wily too. That was on good pace. I'm pretty sure it was on record pace.
He's in.
Oh, no.
He didn't go far enough to the right.
No, that's rough.
Ah, man, he was like 1 pixel away, and he stopped.
I was a little disappointed, but I was like, you know what? It's just 1 run. We immediately into another run. I was very accepting of the probable outcome that I wouldn't set the record on that show.
As Cool Kid makes his way into what many think is the most dangerous stage in the game. Wily 4, Purple Hell.
Cool Kid managed to get on a run, and he actually got a small PB
for this, just being on this show. Okay, let's see what kind of entry he gets. Really.
I was
No,
just
shot.
not paying attention to anything else happening in the event. I was not listening to the commentary.
All right, come on, cool kid. Nice one shot there.
Okay.
Get mashing. And he finishes it off. I think that.
I'm not sure I even knew that Cool Kid got a PB. Someone may have mentioned it in my chat.
Cypher is on into Heatman stage here. He's the only player that's got something going so far, but of course still early game.
I got past the early game gauntlet of air and Clash. I got past the Biggie special. Once you get past the Biggie special at the start of Clash, then you have a real run.
Yeah, he's in good shape here. Yet again, gonna be moving on.
And then I realized I got another run to the Wily stages within half an hour after losing that Wily 2 pace. Like I'm just playing out of my mind.
He's got to be thinking about what happened last time in Wily 2 here, so hopefully he's able to get this zip set up.
Yeah, I'm always worried about the overcorrection.
Okay, that one is good. That one was definitely good. The pace.
Wily 4. This has been the bane of
it.
lately.
This is it.
So the difficulty of Wily 4 is that you really have to draw on.
Oh, you guys got ads? Bro! I'm pausing it. I'm pausing it. I'm waiting. Bro, I'm not. Oh, wait. Bro. Oh, wait. Bro, I swear, if he takes the record here, that'd be sick. If he takes the record, despite retiring and coming back, that'd be sick. On his last day. His last run. It's done? Alright.
All the disciplines that you have in Rockman 2. You have horizontal zips. You have vertical zips. You have item 3 drops. You have a door crash that you have to do. Everything has to come together in this one stage where it's very high pressure.
And I kept just playing well and not losing it anywhere. And Wily 4 happened, went well.
To maintain this pace, but that's a 45, so he is on world record pace going into refights.
Alright.
So going into Wily 5, we knew Cypher was on a good pace. We didn't know his exact pace because as the way commentators had things set up, we can't really see their splits. So we knew he's ahead, but not by how much. He goes air first, which can really go badly if you don't get a good pattern, and he got a decent pattern. So we were thinking, okay, there's a chance here.
And Courtney's getting a really nice fight so far.
Nice, these low jumps.
Oh yeah, this is good.
Once he got past Quick Man, we were kind of like, this is probably going to be it.
Yo.
This could be world record right here, right now, on Chase for the record.
I just need to do this zip, and I need to mash down the alien.
Don't
and
tell me
then
he
I'll
fucks
be
up.
able to achieve
Don't tell me he
this
fucks
thing
up.
that I would just be a massive, massive moment and accomplishment for me.
Oh, that's good. That's good. He's
good.
in there.
We're in there. Let's go.
All right, he just has to match. Throw everything off, but if he can avoid this first shot, he'll be in good shape.
Just don't touch the alien.
Don't touch the alien.
All right,
Okay.
first phase good.
Oh my god.
Good.
Dude, we got this. We got it.
It was a truly euphoric moment. It was euphoric.
That's it! World record!
You can hear
Cypher
Oh, I thought I didn't get it for a
world
second.
Record 26:43. Unbelievable.
I was just overwhelmed with emotion. I
That's sick.
can't describe it any other way.
We saw that, not only is this record, But this is record by a significant amount. I was just kind of floored. He had done this knowing that, this is your last time that you're actually going to be running the game. It's now or never.
I was just overwhelmed with emotion, and then I just started crying.
The run would be retimed as a 26:42, beating Elo by 6 seconds.
Dang.
And Cypher could finally take his well-deserved break. But at the end of the day, you just can't keep Cypher from Rockman 2.
Yo.
He'd spend the next few weeks on other tasks, but Rockman 2 was still calling his name. And sure enough, by March, he was back to doing record attempts. But this time, he wasn't alone. Cool Kid had driven his PB all the way down to 26:47, good for second place. And he was coming for the top spot.
Oh shit.
Cypher and Cool Kid were in a race for the next world record. They'd have new strategies to help. A high-level runner named Prizzy had developed a couple. First, there was the Clashman manip. By jumping and shooting left at the start of the fight, you can guarantee the 2-shot quick kill to save a bit of time. And second, Prizzy rediscovered that you could use item 3 to jump through the floor in Wily 4 to save time.
Oh, that's cool.
This had been done in runs years ago, but Prizzy found that even though you have to wait for item 3 to disappear before doing the vertical wrap, it still saved time. There had also been a new strategy discovered in Quickman stage that Cypher first did in his 26:42. By doing a slight hesitation during the first zip, you could keep the lights on. It didn't save time on its own, but it made the rest of the stage easier. Cypher and Cool Kid both had a legitimate shot at this. But on March 16th, Cypher found himself 6.5 ahead into Wily 5. A chance to crush the category. Unfortunately, despite getting a great airman pattern, he misexecuted and lost 5 seconds. He'd finished it off as a 26:41. Still a small world record, but Cypher couldn't help but feel disappointed. This run wasn't what it could have been. It had the potential for a 26:3x time. A time that would have seemingly put the record out of reach. A time that he had theorized with Elo years prior for the absolute limits of the category. But one mistake in Wily 5 prevented it all.
One bad day.
This is it. This is it. I just need, I need a decent refights.
Oh shit.
This was the record Cypher had been looking for. It was a solid run through Wily 4. He lost a little bit of time on the Airman and Quickman fights in their respective stages. But he knew he had time to save in Wily 5. And he saved 7 seconds. It put him well into the 26:3x range, and he closed it out with a 26:37. And as it turned out, this was good enough for Cypher to end the grind. He stopped playing the game, and his record remained far ahead of anyone else.
Makes sense, Chet.
Well, at least for a little while. Because just a few weeks later, Cool Kid was on his way. His time was down to 26:43, still 6 seconds from Cypher, but he was closing in quickly. See, Cool Kid wasn't just any speedrunner. He was also the Mega Man 1 record holder, a title he had held off and on for more than 3 years. It made sense that he would one day hold the Mega Man 2 record as well, but he had a really tough world record to beat in 26:37. On May 7th, Cool Kid got on a run that had a below-average Heatman pattern, meaning he'd have some time to make up. He'd save a bit from a faster air fight,
Did you guys hear I made Pokemon proud today?
then saved a couple in quick from a frame-perfect zip. By triggering it on the first frame possible, Mega Man only gets pushed up 1 tile instead of 2,
Hear that?
meaning you can quickly zip through the boss corridor as well. Just about the
Has she ever told
only
you that?
substantial mistake through the 8 robots was missing the initial item 1 placement on the Woodman zip. Going into Wily 6, he was about a second behind the record. If he could perfectly crash the door on the zip, he might just barely be able to get this.
Oh my god.
Go. Oh shit, cool kids.
This might fall record. Alright.
He didn't even do spacebar.
Oh my god.
The run would be retimed to a 26:37.00, beating the record by 10 frames.
Yo!
Cypher's massive world record had only been standing for about 4 weeks. And more than 6 years after his initial Biggie discovery, Cool Kid had become the record holder. And then, everything went silent. For the first time in months, there was no active competition for Rockman 2's world record. Cypher had moved on. Cool Kid had moved on. And nobody else was within striking distance. And so, the record stood.
That's the end of the video.
It stood for years.
That's the end of the video.
Through the rest of 2018,
Yep.
all of
That's good.
2019, and all of 2020.
That was a good video.
Cool Kid's 26:37 stayed put as the world record.
That was a good video.
There were no rivals, no contenders. Nobody could beat the pair of 26:37s
Right.
in the top spots.
That's a good video.
But then, in early 2021, guess who came back to run the game?
No shot.
Look what you just saw, Karua. Look what you just fucking waddled your way into.
Although he hadn't done serious record attempts in several years, Elo started up the grind again in January 2021. It had been so long. Could he still compete with the time set by Cypher and Cool Kid? Well, he quickly got a 2-second personal best. Then he took another 2 seconds off. And then another. Now down to 26:42, Elo was quickly honing in on the world record. It all came to a head on March 26, 2021. Elo got on a run that gained time early, but bled a bit going into the Wily stages. Entering Wily 3, he was about 2 seconds ahead. This was a serious chance at a sub 26:40, but given that his best possible time from here was a 26:34, it actually still had an outside shot at the world record. This was a small, but possible chance to jump straight to the record.
Whoa, my power almost just went out. Oh my god, my TV's all fucked. I'm not even kidding. What the My power just massively flickered and my TV looks completely fucked. I'm not even kidding. All the colors just went fucking weird as shit. Am I still... Whoa, it did it again, did it again, did it again. And my power went out. Are you fucking serious?
Elo would continue doing runs for a few weeks, but he'd never take his personal best under 26:42. To this day, that's where his best time stands.
Shit.
He's still considered one of the best to ever play the game, but it remains to be seen if he'll ever take the record again. However, it wouldn't take long for there to be more competition at the top level, because just a few months later, Cypher would return to the game.
What?
A big reason why Cypher and Elo came back in 2021 was a new, faster way to play the Wily stages. It was first found in a task from 2015, but was rediscovered by Shinryu in 2020. You start by using item 2 on Wily 3 instead of Wily 1, which is still pretty fast, but saves a bit of item 2 ammo. This allows you to fly through Wily 4's spike screens. On the first, you want to wait until you take damage, then use item 2 on the next screen to avoid having to wait for the conveyor. On screen 3, you can place item 2 at the top and quickly make it to the other side. Altogether, this saves about 2.5 seconds, but it is quite a bit more difficult than the old route. There was also a new zip in Wily 3 that saved a bit over a second, and a runner named Endy had a new setup for the dog scrolls that made them more consistent in exchange for a small time loss. All these strategies were enough to make Cypher come back. He knew the record could go under 26:37, but just how far wasn't clear. He grinded for months, and initially didn't see any results. But on July 10th, he'd have a run that fell behind the world record early. A bad airman pattern, slow execution of Biggie, and no frame perfect zip on Quick. But he saved it all back and more in the Wily stages. The Wily 3 zip, the new Wily 4 route, it all combined to save him several seconds.
Now I fucking did it! Oh,
Dang.
yes! Oh my god!
For the 6th time, he had set the Rockman 2 world record. But you know something interesting about Cypher? Despite being one of the best to ever play the game, the longest any of his previous 5 records ever stood was 4 months. He was often the first to break a long-lasting record, but for each and every world record he set, someone else would beat him shortly after. This 26:34 was a nice improvement, but it wasn't perfect.
Right.
He did lose a lot of time early on.
Right.
There was only one way for Cypher to guarantee he wouldn't be beaten. Get a perfect run.
How does he make the music so good? What is this Game of Thrones shit?
Oh, don't tell me to pay some mod, please. Fucking please, man.
Yo! Why am I crying at the club?
Alright, this is it. Ah.
Oh no!
Yo, that's fucking hilarious. Holy shit.
It was on pace for 26:26. Cypher was set up to get the game's biggest record cut in 8 years.
No way.
But he went for an extremely quick kill on the alien that's far harder to execute than normal. It was supposed to look like this.
That's the first time I ever did it!
It would have been his ultimate run. It would have been the culmination of a nearly decade-long journey. But it wasn't meant to be. And to this day, he's still searching for it. As for his fastest completed run, his 26:34, it would go on to be Cypher's longest-standing world record. It remained on top for 7 months. But it's not where the world record stands today. That honor goes to Cool Kid.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
On February 3rd,
wait, Cool Kid
2022,
looking good though.
Cool Kid set the game's current world record. It got off to a great start, with a fast airman fight and clean clashman stage. And from there to the finish, it continued on a steady pace, never pulling way ahead of the record, but also avoiding any catastrophes. He lost a bit in Wily 2 from picking up health, and had to wiggle a bit in Wily 6.
GG. GG.
I don't know if he's fast enough.
It was fast enough, Cool Kid. And to this day, this run remains as the world record. As far as this game has come, its future is still wide open. A sub 2630 is on its way, but as players improve and new strategies are developed, even lower times will become possible. Cool Kid and Cypher are the two most likely to take it there, but who knows who may come along in the future. There's certainly a lot of possibilities. The top 8 runs on the leaderboard are each from a different country. Regardless, this game still has a long history yet to be written. Thanks for watching.
GG. I liked him coming back like 7 different times, so that was great. His music's so good.